Welcome to Hardcourt Honeys, where we take our full court NBA hottest takes, and we got featuring Jade and Penny with your moderator TJ, who will just try to keep control with these two while we go with our
fans, subscribers, listeners. Got a new episode coming here today. We got Penny here. Jade, she will not be here this week. She's got some other things going on, but don't worry, she'll be back. But in her spot, we have Jamal.
Thanks. Hey, what's going on, everybody?
For today, greatly appreciated. Last second too, so glad you can slide in for us. That was great. Just so we get to know about you a little bit. Anything to plug for yourself right now?
Sure. So right now, I'm working on an article for the Denver Nuggets and their play for the recent parts of the last few weeks before the quarantine has shut basically the whole league down. I'm trying to focus on whether the Nuggets are true contenders or they just pretenders.
Okay. Is that going to be the title of the article?
Yes. And just to keep it simple.
Yep. I like that. Simple, but add some pizzazz to it. Okay. Well, this week on the episode, we're going to be talking about how the social media has affected the league, how it's molded to now what it is today. So, just start off right away. Penny, what's your favorite social media app to check out anything basketball related?
Actually, there's two: Twitter and Instagram.
Instagram are your two go-to?
Yeah, my go-tos. Yeah, I follow a few players on both Twitter and Instagram, and some of them are really fun, some are not. But either way, social media is great for everybody.
Is there a particular, what particular players do you follow?
You gotta follow Shaq. I follow D Wade, LeBron, of course, Steph Curry, Justin Winslow, a lot of Heat players.
Well, of course, you're a Miami Heat person.
Yep. Yeah, but the one you have to follow is Shaq. He's super funny.
Shaq's great. Yep.
Yeah.
Jamal, same question. So, what social to get your NBA stuff? Which social media outlet are you going to?
So I also follow Twitter as well. There's a lot of great material out there. I also do Facebook as well. I do find some things on Instagram, but I mainly stick with Facebook and Twitter. But Twitter is probably my main go-to right now.
Yeah. I feel like that one is the one where you can get the fastest stuff.
I'm surprised you said Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of players who I've seen here and there who have posted some things on Facebook. So I try to follow as many outlets as I can to try to get more info.
Probably the 90s player.
Well, I'm thinking also how with how Facebook now owns like everything.
Right.
You log into any kind of even messaging app, anything. So I could see Facebook. Yeah, I could see a lot from the Facebook realm because it's got its own little umbrella of things. Next thing who does it affect more? Social media, the league or the players? Jamal, we'll swing that to you first.
I would probably say it affects the league because I think when social media was first created, you kind of had like the league wanted to get more in touch with its fans and more with its supporters. So when of course Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, when all this came out, the league wanted to get more in touch with its fans to try to get more interactive to see what their thoughts were. Mm-hmm. What did they think of the style of play? What do they think of some of the rule changes? What do they think of more of its players interacting with fans and whatnot? So I think, sure, of course, it's probably going to affect players in some way or not, but I think more it's affecting the league and how they interact with their following.
Penny, what do you agree with Jamal there, or do you think that it's going to be affecting the players more than it does with the league?
No, I agree with Jamal. It definitely affects the league.
Because I just think this can promote the player's brand if they have their own account. Right. So you got to think that can add the extra endorsement deals with it. Yes, with the league, this is a new way for them to promote. So as a whole thing.
Right.
But I'm just thinking of also how players can get more out with this, or can get out of the social media because it's all about them. And that's kind of what social media is. It's about them.
Them, yeah, but they
So-
also could get in trouble with social media, so they got to be careful what they
Agreed.
post, what the videos they put out, any photos, anything. So it could hurt them as well.
Think about like D'Angelo Russell a couple years ago with him taping Swaggy P talking about his situations that he was doing
Right.
with, Iggy Azalea, or
Yep.
not doing with her, we should say.
Players.
But you know, I also want to backtrack on that a little bit because if you guys remember way back '92 when the Dream Team
Ooh.
came along,
Man,
Yep.
that was really the NBA's explosion of basically marketing their big time players. Because as you know,
yeah.
the face of the league at that time was Michael Jordan, and
Right.
when everybody saw his face on there, then the league started to figure out, okay, now that we have our big star here, let's market some of our other stars as well. So I think the NBA is using that platform there to kind of help to promote their players across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I guess that gets more that international. It gets even more involved with it. That's true. Who do you think? So, just with segueing player-wise, who do you think has the biggest following on social media today? Like putting all of it together.
Oh
and
God, that's easy.
who do you?
LeBron.
LeBron? You think LeBron's got that? The
Oh,
biggest
without a doubt.
Yeah, he's number one.
That's
Not only basketball wise, but everything, politics, his brand, what he's doing with the kids, with the school.
he's the next billionaire.
Yeah.
He's the next basketball billionaire. Him and Jordan.
Yep. And number two, I will put Steph Curry.
Steph Curry below that. Yeah, who would be your two, Jamal? Since we're agreeing with the LeBron.
So definitely LeBron is top tier. There's no arguing that. But also I will put in there Kevin Durant, which I've seen a lot lately.
Oh God.
Whether good or bad is up
Well,
up
that's
for debate.
the thing. Is it good press or bad press? Good followers or bad followers? He's got the followers.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
And my next one, I would have to say, it would probably be Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
I guess
Yeah,
the reason that LA scene, especially after last year taking down Golden State, your brand's gonna really jump up even more.
Yes, and I think sometimes he's gotten kind of like a I wouldn't say like a bad rep, but kind of misunderstood rep because as you know, he's a very quiet individual. He doesn't really speak much. But now that we see him more, especially during this past year's playoffs, when he took Toronto to where it's never been before and to actually win the title, now you see his name, especially out there in the LA market, it's really taken off.
Right. But is he really on social media like that? Like very active? I don't follow him, so I'm not sure how active he is.
So I actually do follow him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quite as active as LeBron or some of these other big name stars, but
right.
when he does have time, he does meddle on social media.
Okay.
Does the social media affect like how a player plays? Like, is when someone's given a hard time with Russell Westbrook, do you think, since they were giving me a hard time on that tweet, am I going to shut him up, or is it more, are they drowning that kind of noise out, Penny?
Oh, that should have been one of the questions from last week, Taylor. A conspiracy theory, maybe?
Oh, that's a light one. That's a light one, yeah.
That they might be affected by social media? I don't know. It's up to the player, how mentally strong they are, if it really affects them or not.
Who do you think it would affect then more?
I would agree with you with Westbrook. Kevin Durant, those two are very sensitive, according to the media.
Well, I mean, when you have your own burner accounts.
You gotta set yourself up for that.
Yeah. Who else is sensitive out there?
I mean, there's people that you would say DeMarcus Cousins.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Come to mind. Kyrie occasionally claps back.
Yeah. Oh,
James
yes.
James Harden does. quietest superstar. Now, quietest superstar on social media. Who do you think, Penny?
Repeat that again, Taylor.
Quietest player on social media.
Kawhi.
Like, which major player like isn't on social media or you wish was on more?
Oh man, who's not on social media? That's a good one. But the quietest has to be Kawhi.
You think Kawhi is now the quietest one on social media?
Yeah, that I could think of.
What about you, Jamal?
Well, honestly, I'm going to have to agree. But like I said, even though Kawhi, I've seen him here and there on social media, as far as just his overall presence on social media, you really just do not hear too much about him. But I think he likes to keep that low profile about himself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, keep that quiet assassin anonymity to him.
Mm-hmm.
But so we'll just now a little fun fact with it is NBA though, out of the 4 major sports, NBA has the most followers when it comes
Not
to
surprising.
I'm not
overall.
surprised either. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So going to swing some blast from the past questions right there. It's just because you were mentioning 92 team there, Jamal. So how would you think, say, a player like Michael Jordan would handle a social media aspect, Jamal?
So he could take it one or two ways. The way that I think he would go. So say for instance, somebody is basically clowning him. Oh, we had this bad game. As a matter of fact, I got a really good example for you. So way back in '93, when they were playing the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and all this media blow up that he had after going to Atlantic City, right after Game 1, he was there at Atlantic City until 2:30 in the morning, knowing that he had to play Game 2 about a day or so later. And whole media make this big fuss about it or whatnot. And next thing you know, the Bulls went down 2-0 against the Knicks. So to me, a person like Jordan, he would take some of that criticism and he would internalize it. He probably won't say anything back immediately to, say, a reporter or the media or whatnot, but he'll use that to fuel himself for the next game. And then, as you come to know, Game 4 of that series, he ended up scoring the Knicks for 54 points. So to me, it all depends on the player.
You don't think who would have, which player, Penny, would have a burner account?
I would say Charles Barkley.
Oh yes.
We'll have a burner account.
See, I was thinking that, but at the same time, how confrontational he is.
Yeah.
Like there's a story where he's getting harassed by someone. He's at a casino and he lost like a couple $1,000, and they're like, "You have a gambling problem, Charles Barkley." And he's like, "I can't have a gambling problem. I'm rich." So I could feel him just going right at the player, kind of similar to, say, like a Joel Embiid, but not troll it, more just call them out. I could see him being the one that's like, "I got nothing to hide. I'm gonna call you out on it."
Yeah.
I
don't think he will handle those social media backlash that well.
Oh,
in
no.
my opinion, Barkley would. Yeah, he wouldn't handle it.
I mean, he had an entire motto for his shoe back in the day is "I am not a role model." And then having him on social media, I don't know if that would be the best thing.
I love Barkley personally. I
love him too. He's one of my all-time favorites.
Me too. Yep.
Top five for me with that. Say, what about like a Dennis Rodman?
Oh, that's an interesting one, and especially knowing his quirky personality, I think he would definitely engage fans. As far as being confrontational, probably not, but he would definitely give up some laughs. I will say that.
Would he be more prominent on Twitter or on Instagram?
Instagram.
I was thinking.
I would think Instagram.
What about you, Penny?
I couldn't hear the question.
What would Dennis Rodman like? What would he be on social media? And then, would it be more Twitter or Instagram he'd be involved with?
I see him more on Instagram because he's crazy like that. He will post videos, photos of him dressing up.
Yes.
I'm a Bulls fan from the 90s, so I watch them every week.
And so
And
you got to see all the fun haircuts.
Yeah, he will go nuts on Instagram and just replying back to fans who do not agree with him. So I would love for him to have a social media platform if he doesn't already.
He would be a riot.
Yeah.
What do you think a Larry Bird social media page, say a Instagram page, would look like? That would he have one, Jamal? Would he have any social media outlet?
So I would say yes, but it'd be very, very barren. And I say that because Larry Bird, from the tapes that I've watched him play, he mostly did his talking on the court. He didn't really do it. Right, very good trash talker, and he really didn't do so in the media. He didn't really do so outside the game. He was more on the court.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was another one of those people that was just like Barkley, just short and to the point, but not as much as of a personality as Barkley. So there's the difference with that.
Yeah.
Do you think social media for both past and current? Do you think social media for a player can ruin their career?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, without a doubt.
One tweet can ruin their career. One tweet. Definitely.
Especially if it's controversial, because we've seen a lot of that in the past with other sports and other players. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah, a lot of players have lost their jobs because of it.
Regardless of the talent, like you don't think, say, LeBron says a wrong thing, is that going to be destroying his career?
Remember, Taylor, LeBron is not normal. He's not a normal player. He's not a normal person.
He's not normal. That's right.
No, he's above everybody else. That is not going to happen to LeBron. Yeah.
That's the kicker too, because he on his own account, he says some very controversial things that not everybody agreed with. So it's a matter of who it is, who's talking.
Yep.
True.
Unfortunately, it is.
I like that, depending on who's talking with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Remember, do you guys follow many teams on Instagram on social media besides like your hometown teams? Or because like for me personally, I follow my hometown Timberwolves. Then I also follow the Mavericks. I've always been a Mavericks fan. Toronto. I like Jade would like this. Shout out to you, Jade. I follow Toronto on Instagram. I follow them. She's gonna always hold this against me now. When she hears it. And then I've been a fan of Golden State since about 2005, so I followed them too. But those are my go-to ones. Jamal, what are your go-to teams you follow with it?
Okay, so other than the Nuggets, because I'm literally from the Colorado area, so I always rep them. I always follow more kind of like the up and coming team. So I say right now, like OKC, I follow them, and I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of crap for this, but yes, I do follow. I do follow the Knicks, and it pains me to say
it. The train wreck that is.
So I follow the Knicks because. Yes, I agree. So I follow the Knicks because when the Knicks do well, I think the NBA as a whole does better. I think you can agree with me with that.
Yeah,
so just to see them falter the way they have, whether it's bad ownership, giving up bad contracts, not even retaining a head coach for longer than 1-2 years. It's a shame and a travesty because this used to be a very proud franchise.
Yeah.
And now see where it is now. It's like, will they ever climb out of the depths?
See, and that's where we go to our last week, Jamal. We were talking about conspiracy theories. The Knicks part of that 1985 cold envelope creased corner. That's why the league only benefited from it. So did they purposely set that in place? The league always does well when the Knicks are good. Luckily, right now, the NBA has a LeBron James that can just keep the brand going.
Right.
But usually that Knicks team really brings in the following too.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Very true.
So there's that conspiracy theory that runs all the way back to today, and it's bit them in the butt. That's karma. It's karma. That's why they're bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because the Knicks were used to be so much fun to watch and root for.
That 90s squad was
New York basketball.
That was New York basketball.
Definition of it.
Yeah.
I'd say that the 90s, and then swing in the style of like Stephon Marbury when he played in Rucker Park.
Oh, yes.
And then you're going to play flashy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see when the Knicks are good, they're a fun social media page to like. I can get, because it's just the energy from that page is also just comes from the energy that those fans give. So,
I mean, and think about it, like New York, that is the Mecca. Of course, the largest city, of course, in the U.S., but when you're talking about sports, the Mecca, it is New York City. Everybody knows this.
I mean, the Knicks one of the worst teams, and yet it has some of the most followers out of every single team in social media. Besides, maybe minus the Lakers and then Golden State. They're top 3 for sure for team most followed. So would then history lay more on that, or just being from New York? What do you think?
I think it is the history because, like I said, New York is a very proud franchise. Going back to the days of Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Dave DeBusch, and all those guys in the 70s. New York was very proud. And then, of course, when they win the lottery, they get Patrick Ewing, and they helped build that squad up in the 90s or whatever. I think New York, as far as history goes, I think that's a big following for the NBA. And I hope it does continue, but at the same time, like, they have to start winning.
Yep. When it comes down to it right now for them, they just have to start winning. They have to do something with that roster and just with that franchise overall. James Dolan.
Yes.
James Dolan.
He's got to go.
What?
He has to go.
One way or
James
another.
Dolan has to go.
That everyone knows that. And he knows it, but instead he just kicks everyone out. That's what he does with it all. Yeah.
And he wonders why they are where they are right now.
Right? That a guy that doesn't even really care about basketball. He just cares about owning stuff. That's what it feels like. Yep. So, swinging back to the social media part, do you think who uses the social media the best, though? Teams, players, or the league, Penny?
I would say it's a combination of teams and players. And depending on the players that utilize their platform well.
And does the player bring more fans to, say, the NBA, or does the NBA bring more fans to the players, Jamal?
No, the players bring more fans to the NBA.
I
agree. I think it is the players.
The players either make it fun to follow them, or they're just boring to follow. So it depends on their activity and what they post.
But what also helps in that regard is that you need to have some players who are villains, who are not well liked. Right. That also draws interest as well.
Kevin Durant.
Yep. Yeah. Joel Embiid, just because he's the biggest troller of the league.
No, Kevin Durant has that.
Kevin Durant
has that award.
Embiid is up there. Durant also, but I think Embiid would probably give Durant a run for his money just because with some of the outlandish things he says. Like, for instance, he said he was the best big man in the league. Right. But then I watch some of the games he plays or whatever. Like, are you sure about that?
He's a guy that really picks and chooses when he really wants to play.
Right.
He's a guy that I admit he's a great player. This is coming from someone a little bit biased since I'm a Cat fan. I'm a Towns fan, so those are guys that always go at it. But when you can't even play 2/3 of a season,
that's a problem.
Yeah, and even then, there are nights where you're just beating up everybody. You're getting 34 points, 18 rebounds, and you'll get 4 blocks. Well, then the next game, you're going to get 18 points, 8 rebounds, and then a couple turnovers and maybe a block. Like he's still a great player, but he's a real pick and choose, and he's got no endurance. He gets no stamina.
Yeah. Which, in my opinion, he's not going to last long in the league if he continues doing that.
No, I see him 10 years in the league, 11 years.
You're giving him too much.
His speed
right.
Give out
You're being generous.
Well, I mean, he is a talent that I do appreciate. The personality, I don't care for it. But that's on me, not on him.
Right.
But with a guy his size, the way he plays, but with the foot injury history that he has with it, like Timberwolves had a player, Nikola Pekovic, a couple of years ago.
Oh, yes. His name.
Big Peck, the Godfather. God, I missed him. He was one of the. Shaq even said if there was one guy that could have ever outmuscled him in the league today, it was Nikola Pekovic. And he was a player not meant to play basketball. He was a person that was meant to be in like the world's strongest man competition because he couldn't run, and because of him not being able to run right, he kept on hurting his feet. And since he was so large, it kept on just getting worse and worse, and he had to end his career after 7 years.
Which is a shame, too.
I remember I was reading an article. We were 41 games into the season, and he was saying how he had switched to yoga, and then he had never been this healthy and long in his entire basketball career. And then 3 games later, he broke his foot.
Wow.
So, large guys in the league, not supposed to. If you have a foot injury, Yao Ming, foot injury. That's what.
Oh, goodness.
Granted, that was because his foot was squished in shoes his entire life, pretty much.
Oh, man.
That's what happened with him. But that is not social media. That's about people's feet. So we got to wring this back way in. We got to wrangle this one back in far. So besides like the players and teams and stuff, are there like, do coaches or like GMs, do their social media things really matter, Jamal?
They do matter. However, as I'm pretty sure as everybody has seen, you don't really see GMs or owners or coaches for that matter be on social media as much as the players, because players are basically interacting with fans, and fans, although sometimes whether they agree or disagree with a coach's decisions, whatever, you'll see it all the time on social media. Like sometimes they'll either give them all this great praise or all this criticism nonstop. And I don't think that coaches, GMs, or owners, they want to hear all that. They don't. So as far as it mattering, it's little to none, honestly.
What about you, Penny?
I think it matters, but I see more coaches on social media. College, a lot of coaches have their social media page, and also the WNBA. They interact a lot with the fans, but not as much on the NBA side. You don't see a lot of GMs or coaches interacting.
Because I'm just thinking the other day, so I'm sure in your guys' respective areas, they're showing repeat games on like the local channels of some of the best games season for your teams. A couple of days ago, our president, Gerson Rosas, he was live tweeting one of I think it was a game against the Clippers that we had this year. Yeah, it's against the Clippers where we beat them with a healthy Kawhi and Paul George. And so he was live tweeting that game, and he was tweeting about moments that he felt during the game where he was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is working and stuff, right after a big trade. But I thought that was cool. But at the same time, I was like, does really, how many people actually follow you, Rosas? I feel like that would almost be like he follows more people than follow him.
So good.
Yes, that is true.
Follower instead of being the one followed.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about some the burner accounts again, going back to that, I just came up with an idea. How many players do you think really have burner accounts, Jamal? Do you think that it's not just like Kevin Durant stuff? Do you think multiple players have a burner account?
I believe they do, and I think you have at least a good handful of players who do. They just don't they either haven't been caught or they just haven't publicly acknowledged it.
Like, how did Kevin Durant get caught? Do we know, or was it just he was that bad at it?
He was probably bad at it, and plus because I think what happened, he had gotten into this very big argument with a teenager about him going to Golden State and winning those 2 titles. I think that's how this all started.
You don't talk smack with a teenager,
especially on Twitter.
Media. You don't do that. You're gonna lose.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that with a 14-year-old.
You know who I see with a burner account? Perkins.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Why does his opinion now all of a sudden matter? For everything?
Because he's on the media side now.
And he used to play with Durant.
Right. But
True.
now he's not. But now he has to talk, like, because he's a media member now. So
he always rips on the Timberwolves for some reason. I have no idea. On a Timberwolves page I'm a part of, Perkins is always finding a way to be like, no, screw them. It's not even saying like, oh, they're bad at this or whatever. It's like he's got some vendetta against us.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. And it makes me really frustrated because all I'm hearing is him. He's the only person that talks about the Timberwolves. That's one thing. He's the only one on big media outlets. So Kendrick Perkins out of nowhere. But he have a burner account. I feel like he'd be another one that wouldn't need the burner account though. I feel like he'd just call someone out right away.
Yeah.
I think he would.
I think James Harden has another one.
Yeah, definitely.
He has another one. Ever since he had his little patented step back thing now, that's a hard one to follow. I don't know if that's a travel or not, but
which I think it is a travel.
It is a travel.
Travel, and he never ever
just won't call it.
Yeah.
Someone defended it to me was it's like he's gathering up for a layup, but instead of going towards the hoop, he's going away from the hoop.
Yeah, he's going away from the hoop. Yeah, that's a travel.
That's what I thought. I was like, I thought you take those 2 steps going towards the hoop. But they were like, no, he's just going in a different direction. I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
It's not.
James Harden broke the system. That's what he did.
That's what he think he did. But everybody knows he travels.
Do you think that's a move that stays around, his blatant travel move that stays around, or is it just he's getting away with it now because it's him?
Yeah, he's getting away with it.
He is. And honestly, I'm surprised the league has let him get away with it.
Yeah.
Because if this was back in the 90s, they would call that every single time.
Yep.
Do you think that, tying that with social media, do you think if the league went too hard on, say, like James Harden for that, do you think there would be a bite back from the fans to the NBA? Jamal?
I think probably a little bit. And I say that because the casual NBA fan wants the game to be played within the rule set. Like as long as it's within the rule set, like okay, the fans like okay, just go ahead and play. That at least that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
That's because once you start throwing that for, like you said, the casual NBA fan, maybe, or even just the person that occasionally catches it. Like my parents, they watch basketball with me occasionally, but when you see someone throw out this new move like this step back thing, my parents my parents, James Harden's their least favorite player. Their least favorite player by far, probably almost ever, because
They're
of
smart
that
people.
little move. Him always going to the free throw line. Parents will just be sitting there. My dad will be like, "That's not basketball. Just
Thank you.
the free throw line and shooting 3-pointers. That's not basketball." And then I'll be like, "Well, that's just the league today." And he's like, "Well, it shouldn't be." And
Yeah, I like your dad, man. I
but the thing is, though,
100% agree with him.
it wasn't until like I started watching basketball and getting into it when I was like 12 and stuff that he started watching and stuff. So it's just, I thought it was funny where he's just like, "That's not how it's supposed to be." And I was like, you don't even know for sure. But so when who gets affected more when they have bad press, the NBA or the player?
Oh, player, without a doubt.
Players.
I guess
because here's the thing: they get it from, it's bad enough because they get it from the media, they get it from the fans, they get it from possibly whoever's supporting them, whether it's the crowd and all that stuff. So the players they're facing all this constant haggling, and it can't be just for one single game, especially come playoff time. It doubles, maybe triples, depending on who the player is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you're on that big time show. And yep. So, speaking of playoffs, we're segueing into that. Do you think that's a rise in extra likes and fan followers is during the playoffs? Penny, do you think that's a spike?
Yeah, most definitely.
Primarily for the league or players?
The players.
You think?
Well, I'll say both. Yeah, because that's where the real excitement comes in during the playoffs. That's when everybody's gonna start watching basketball.
That's where players make their money in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Would you say beginning of season or beginning of playoffs brings the more followers and subscribers and likes to the league? Beginning or playoff time?
Playoff time.
You think playoff time? What about you, Jamal?
Yeah. Same, playoffs, because like I said, the playoffs are where players are made or broken come April, May, June timeframe. And especially when you got basically not just the country, but the whole world is watching when it comes to playoff time.
Very true. That there's that whole world concept coming from that social media. That throws a huge curveball with it. But I just think beginning a season, like it's after the off season, there's new players on new teams. The excitement of not having any no NBA basketball going for so long. Not gonna say no basketball for you there, Penny. And we know WNBA's there holding strong for the basketball. I'm not gonna WNBA, but the itch for the NBA. You can only watch so many hardwood classics in the summer from like 2002. Mm-hmm. So I could see that the beginning of the season with the build up for it, I could see a boom of more followers. But yeah. I can get the playoffs because intensity playoffs, just in any sport, playoffs are just, it's a time to watch.
Yeah, it's that middle section that it gets kind of boring. The beginning is very exciting. The playoffs are very exciting. But that middle is like, to me, is kind of boring. Watching regular basketball and then.
What time of year would you say, Jamal, is the NBA most saturated with social media content?
I would say probably I'll give you two sections. So definitely the playoffs, but I also want to say AllStar Weekend.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
Just because if you go on Instagram, like say dunk contest, you're gonna see
everybody's watching.
4 pages are gonna just be the repeat of the game winning or like the game dunk, not the game dunk, round winning dunk. Or they're just gonna constantly go over the 3-point contest or go through the skills challenge. Mm-hmm. Just I can almost see just those 3 days alone could cover almost an entire NBA season.
Yeah, very true.
At least.
Just, is it good content, bad content? It's a mix. Some of it, Yeah. So think right now, think we can segue into our fast break questions for this week. Come on, we'll start off. Who's a player that you wish would back off social media?
That I wish would back off.
Yes.
I would probably say Kyrie Irving. I say him because some of the things, like especially most recently that I've heard, the Earth is flat. I'm an improving leader or whatnot, and just some of the things that he says. Like, don't get me wrong, great player. I think one of the best talents we have in the NBA. But some of the things he says on social media, it makes you scratch your head. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, for real. Penny,
that's probably the best I could put it.
Penny, switch it over to you. Who do you wish would be a little bit less on the social media in the NBA?
Well, you probably know my answer, Kevin Durant.
Durant.
Only because he can be annoying at times on social media. Just going back and forth with teenagers like that, it gets annoying at some point. I'm like, come on, Durant.
Yep, you're
arguing with teenagers.
Yep, they're 14. You're an adult. Come on, get over yourself, Kevin.
Yeah.
So then, next question, Jamal. Which past player, any decade, spanning all the way to the 50s, which player would you follow on social media?
Oh, definitely Magic Johnson. That'd be the first name I come up with.
Magic Johnson?
Yes, he would be one of the first ones I would follow because just not only his style of play, but his interaction with people. You would always get a good laugh with Magic Johnson, no matter what the discussion might be. So he would be the first one I would think of.
Got that perfect smile.
Yes.
It's too perfect. His teeth look like chiclets. So big and white.
God.
That's a good one.
Teeth. Don't mean that in a bad way. I'm jealous of those teeth, but Penny, how about you?
Oh, let me see. I have 3. Barkley, Rodman, and Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice. Okay.
Yeah. 3 players that will interact differently with fans, but are fun to follow.
Okay, I see that. I'm going to throw my new player in. I'm going to go with Dr. J because he was the guy one of the first guys that brought like this cool, suave demeanor to the league. And I feel like he'd be a real fun one. He's the one that had the interesting outfits and everything. So he was paving that road way before Russell Westbrook and James Harden started putting pieces of fabric on them. And then last question for this week. Let me just find it again.
And Dr. J does have Instagram, by the way.
He's got Instagram?
Yes, he does. Yep.
Oh boy.
Go follow him, Taylor.
Perfect. I'm gonna have to follow that. I'm gonna have to follow that one then.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of him doing highlights of dunks that he's done, except at the age of like 68.
How old is he?
I think he's around 68 because they made a documentary about him a couple years ago, and he was 63, and they showed a clip of him dunking still. So
the man still got it.
Yep. And last one, who would I don't remember? Did I ask this at the beginning? I asked a lot of questions at the beginning. Which player that you love wish would be on social media more? Penny.
Let me see. Well, my favorite player of all time is Penny Hardaway. He is on social media, but he's not very active, and he's not very fun to follow. But I would love to see him be more active. And
Jamal, what about you? Past, present players that have social media, who would you wish that would be on social media more?
So I will agree with Penny. I love the idea of Penny Hardaway, but my pick, I would like to see KG, Kevin Garnett. I would like to see him more.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram and Twitter, and he barely puts things out.
Yeah.
I want to see the big ticks. TIX, everyone, big ticks. I follow him. Yeah, we can let's Get him the bump that he has no idea about. That's free advertisement for him. I expect a call from his agent for that bump right there. Okay. Well, we got the question, and then we talked a little bit of social media. Went off track as we usually do.
Yeah.
Tried our best with it today. We appreciate Jamal coming in last second, giving his fun takes. Penny, always great to have you here, as always. Jade, she will be back soon. No worries about her. She's all great, just has her own things going on. But, all right. Well, then, see you next time, Hardcourt Honey listeners.